Oh, good morning. Happy Friday. It does kind of seem like this has been a long week for me since is back to reality after being sick. It seems like I'm ready for a little downtime, but it's all good. So I you were with me on Tuesday. I pulled out my book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and he is from Mexico, and he wrote this book. It's called The Four Agreements, about the Toltec philosophy of life. And agreements, just to give you some background, he said that agreements are things that you make with yourself. So, like, for instance, if you're a child and someone says to you, you can't sing, then you either agree to that statement or you don't. And if you agree to it, then you think your whole life that you can't sing, and so you don't sing. So agreements can be good. Maybe someone will say, oh, you sing beautifully, and then you decide, well, I need to be doing that. So, but he's saying that you should let go of all those agreements that you've made with yourself, and you only need these four agreements, and then your life will flow better. So I thought I'd go over the first agreement, and the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others, and use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. So you might say, well, what does impeccable mean, really? I mean, we kind of have an idea, but what it really means, when you break it down into the Latin roots, is to without sin. So if you're speaking without sin, and he says it with in mind that sin means something that you do to yourself. So if you make the agreement that you can't sing, and you really, everybody can sing, you really can, then that's sinning against yourself. So so be impeccable with the word. And I wanted to read to you this part. He says, why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God. So through the Word, you can express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the Word. So that's why he says it's the most important one. So please settle in, close your eyes. Feel your spine lengthen with each inhale. Feel yourself grounded. I read a quote from Khalil Gibran the other day, and it said, between people saying what they don't mean and people not saying what they do mean, that there's a lot of love lost. Kind of the same philosophy. Please bring hands to heart center. May we all be impeccable with our word. And I believe that if we are, we'll be much better able to see the grace that's always there. Please lower your hands, open your eyes. And let's get started with a little movement, shall we? So stretch your arms up. Feel nice and long, and then twist to your right. Just bring your hands down. And then inhale, come back up. And twist the opposite way. And one more time each side. So inhale up, exhale, twist, stay for a breath. Inhale. And exhale, twist. Inhale, come back to center. And bring your arms out to the side, and with your right arm, inner spiral. So just start with the shoulder and turn the arm all the way in. Maybe the palm comes out, and then go the opposite way with that arm. And then keeping an alongside body, switch. Kind of feeling everything work from the shoulder down. And switch again. And switch one more time. And then on your next inhale, bring the arms up. Bend the elbows, lift your heart. Maybe even keep the rib cage back, but feel an opening there. And then inhale, stretch back up. And this time, as you bend the elbows, tuck your chin around your upper back and bring your forearms together. And do that one more time. So inhale up, open the heart. And inhale up, exhale, round and tuck. Feel the shoulders kind of working. Good. And then inhale up. And bring the hands down by the side. Come on to all fours. And move through some cow cats. Now that you get the shoulders warmed up, warm up the rest of the back. You warmed up your back a little bit, but you can pause and wiggle in small ways if that feels good. she missed you. Pause in all fours and just move in a big infinity sign or figure eight. And warm up the hip joints a little bit, shoulders a little more. Switch directions if you want to. Your practice, just move in a way that feels really nice. Good. And then bring your knees a little wider. Come on down to a child's pose. Let's check in with your hips, your bum, your knees, belly. Good. And then come up a little bit and just bring your right hand in the middle of your gaze and your left hand to the back of your head. And press your head into your hand and then twist a little bit to your left. Get into a few more muscles there. You can move the spine a little bit if that feels good. Good, and then switch. So left hand down, right hand to the back of the head, twist. Just some subtle spinal movements. Press your head into your hand. And unwind. Come on back up to all fours position. And extend just your right leg. And I want you to engage the core. So don't let the hip lift too high. I'm going to keep it parallel. And then flex the foot and bend the knee and try and bring your heel towards your bum. It's not going to come all the way, but it's going to feel like you're really working the hamstring. Now keep the knee there. Keep your left hip stable and just allow the right foot to come off to the right side. You'll feel the right hip spiral in the socket there. You can feel that. And then bring it back to center. And just make a little circle with your knee. So you're not lifting the hip. Good. If you need to touch down, you can. Then extend the leg and bring the ball of the foot down. And just kind of stretch through the calf a little bit. Feels nice. Good. And then pick that foot up and bring it off to the left side. So you're on the ball of the foot. Hug your left hip in. And see about lengthening your spine. Your hips stay square to the floor. Your shoulders stay square. And then maybe you can even walk your hands so you can feel more of a stretch in your right side body through your core as well. And maybe you can walk your hands forward a little bit. Lower to your left elbow. Walk your right hand further so you can really feel a nice stretch all up and down the right side body. Balance is a little bit of an issue here, so just go where it feels good. Good, and then come on back up to center with your hands. Lower your knee right behind your left knee. Yeah, good. Widen your feet a little bit. And think, I want to keep everything square. Maybe stretch back a little bit, stretch out that hip. Your left knee will come up off the floor when you're doing this. This is Gomukhasana variation. Good, come on back forward. Undo your knees now, line them up. Bring your left hand forward a little bit, extend your right arm and thread the needle. Around your right shoulder, tuck your chin. Broaden your shoulder blades apart. Draw your sternum back. And then unwind. Nice, you guys. And we'll do that whole sequence on the other side. So extending the left leg. I always have to remind myself to keep the right hip stable. Flex the foot, bend the knee in. It might feel different than the other side. Just notice and appreciate. Okay. And then ever so slightly, keep the knee where it is. Just rotate that whole hip in this the hip socket by bringing the foot out to the left. Hug your right hip in, keep that stable. Kind of like we do windshield wipers a little bit. Come back to center. Keep the hips the same distance from the floor as you rotate in a little circle with that knee. Good. And then extend the leg again and bring the ball of the foot down. Stretch through the calf. He's leaving you alone. Connie, she needed, good, pick that foot up, bring it off to the right. Now again, keep the hips square to the floor, shoulders square. If you want more stretch, you can walk the hands. And then I like to lower to my right elbow and stretch my left arm long, just so I can feel stretch all the way up and down the left side. But you don't have to do it that way because it's deep. And then come on up to all fours. Widen the right foot to the left. Snug that left knee in behind the right. Widen both feet and sit back. Stretch out the right hip. The right knee will come up. It's okay. Yeah. And it's just doesn't matter how far you go. Wherever it feels like, oh, that's a big stretch. And you want it to feel good on your knees too. So I always hug my feet towards each other. Good. Come forward. Unwind to all fours. Right hand forward a bit. Left arm extends. And thread the needle. Round and breathe. Seeing how it feels. Try and soften a bit once you get into the pose. And then please unwind. And go ahead and swivel your feet to the side because I'm going to have you lay on your back for a moment. We're just going to do a little ab work. So once you get down there, just take a moment to feel your spinal position feels good. I want you to keep a little curve in the low back, but yet think of drawing the rib cage back. And then lift the knees above the hips, lift the shins parallel to the floor, and then flex the feet. And then just place your hands right in the middle of your quadriceps, right in the middle of the thighs. And think, I want to keep a long spine and press up and away. You'll feel your low belly working. You'll feel lots of your core working. Don't do it so hard that you can't breathe. Keep the feet flexed. If you can go 3 more breaths. Good, and release, hug your knees in. Relief, right? Roll side to side a little bit. It's a lot. You know, work on legs a lot. So hamstrings, quads, hips. Okay, so let's go one more time. So bring your knees above your hips. Lift the shins, flex the feet. Think long spine, rib cage is back. Hands placed and press up and away. Resist with your thighs. Just notice, do I do it evenly? Do I do it harder on one side than the other? Try and even it out. Good, bring both hands to the left thigh. And keeping that feeling of pressure on the right thigh, extend the leg. And bend the left knee. Bring both hands to the right thigh. Extend the left leg. You don't have to lower it to the ground. You can go straight up or whatever to keep you feeling work good. Bend the left knee, left hand on left thigh. Think abdominal bracing, one more breath. And then release and hug your knees in. Whew. One more thing on our back. I want you to bring the knees wide towards your armpits. Bring the inner edge of your feet together. And then lift the feet slightly. So your knees are like 30-degree angle. And then reach your elbows on the inside of your thighs and see if you can lift your head and chest and squeeze your upper arms with your knees. Tuck your chin, feel really rounded in the upper back. Pretend like you're gonna press your hands on the ceiling. Hug, hug, hug. Good, and release. Ooh, bring the feet to the mat. Think this will feel good. We're gonna go the opposite direction, hands by your hips. And just lift up to a little Sattu Bandha. Just feel opposite direction for a moment. And then lower down, roll to your side, and come all the way up to standing. We'll just stretch out our quads a little bit now that we've gotten our cores warmed up. So standing on your right foot, lift your left knee. And remember that feeling of abdominal bracing. Maybe even extend your arms for that long core. And release. And switch sides. So right knee. And release. Okay, now we're gonna do that again, but I'm gonna have you slowly move the knee back and see if you can find the foot for a little quad stretch. Now, if you need to go by a wall, just do it. No big deal. So standing on your right foot, lift your left knee. Slowly move it back behind. Maybe find the foot. Keep the hip creases back. Keep the spine long. Stretch up. Now to come out, see if you can release the foot. Bring the knee back forwards. And release. Yeah, good job. Ready for the other side? Lift the right knee. Get that feeling of help from your core. Move it back. Find the foot. Get a little quad stretch going. Release the foot. If you can bring it forward. And let go of it. Good job. Okay, come to the front of your mats, and why don't you go ahead and bring your blocks up there. And bring your feet a little wider than you normally do. And stretch your arms up. And then folding forward, you can bend the knees, just stay grounded. Come to a forward fold. And you have to decide how deep you want to go here. Turn your toes out slightly. You can keep the hands on the blocks if you want, or hands flat. And I want you to bend your knees a little bit and then lift your heels. And then hug your legs into the arms again. And then draw into your core. So sternum back, tuck the chin, hug with your knees. Draw in. Good. And then release, come back to a forward fold. And go ahead and step your feet back to a downward facing dog. And just bend one knee and the other. Walk out to dog. I want you to still feel really engaged through your shoulders. So front and back, you're supporting them. Use all parts of your hand. Good, and then keeping that, come forward to a plank pose. And just hold. Now, you might want to lower your knees, that's totally fine. I just want you to think of the abdominal bracing you did and how that felt in your core, and see if you can hold that in plank. And like I said, lower your knees if you need to. If you want a little more challenge, lift right hand to left shoulder and then switch. Keep the core the same. You can do that a few times. Check in yourself. Oh, I'm so strong. Good. And then lower your knees and lower all the way to the mat. Setting up for Cobra. Press your feet down. Think just of lifting and lengthening your spine. Stay for a breath or two. Shoulders supporting you. On the back. On the front. Good. And lower down. Push on back to a downward facing dog. Take your time. And bring your feet just a little closer together. Bend your knees slightly and extend the right leg. Same thing. I don't want you to get the hip higher than the left hip. Just square, flex the foot, bend the knee, just like you did on all fours. And if you need to go back to all fours, please do. Inner spiraling that right hip in the socket. You just bring the right foot off to the side. You can feel that movement. Bring it back to center and make a few small circles with your knee, just moving it in the socket. Good, and then extend the leg and see if you can swing it around to the outside of your right hand. You might have to move a little bit. And then I'm gonna grab my blocks and bring them under my hand and lower the back knee. And I want you to think, okay, I'm gonna keep the hips square. I'm gonna keep the shoulders square. I'm gonna really ground this right foot down. Notice how I have my toes turned out slightly because that's the way my knee wants to go. And then I can even broaden the knee a little bit. And then maybe I lift the back knee again. And maybe even lower down then. You decide what stretch feels good to you. Keep the knee down. Kind of working out any of the kinks. Good, and then lower the back knee. And swing that knee around. Have the blocks handy, but come on back to downward facing dog so we can work on the other side. Like I said, feel free to do this from all fours if that feels better supported, because you don't want to feel floppy in your shoulders or not strong enough. So feet together, extend the left leg. I like to keep a baby bend in my right. Flex the foot, bend the knee. If you can get it even a little closer, feel the hamstring working inner spiral by bringing the foot to the left. Knee stays there, hugging the right hip in. Good, straighten it out. Little baby circles with the left knee. Try not to let the hip move. It's just the leg in the socket. Good, extend the leg again and step it to the outside of the left hand. Hands on the blocks. Lower the back knee. Get everything lined up the way you want it so it feels nice and stable. And then if you're feeling it and you want to lift the back knee again, do. Or you can lower your elbows. You don't have to use the blocks either. I just happen to like using the blocks. Couple breaths. Good, lower the back knee. Come on up and come back to all fours position. And then walk the hands back. I'm gonna ask you to stretch your feet long and walk the blocks back by your heels, outside of your heels, and see if you can sit. And if that doesn't work, yeah, good. And if your knees don't go that far, put a blanket, snug them up right behind your knees, or even two blankets, or because you want to be a little bit higher. And then move your blocks to the higher height. It feels really good behind your knees because we're going to do a little quad strengthening. So press the feet down. You got to feel all 10 toes. And then you can use the blocks to help you if your quads don't feel strong enough, or just press into your shins and your feet and lift. See if that works for your knee, I don't know. And then lower down and just go far enough that you feel like you still have control, because we're going to do it a few times. Yeah. Lower, keep the core engaged. So you're just feeling it in your quads. And like I said, you don't have to go all the way back. You can use those blankets there and just stay a little higher. Check your feet. Are you still using them? And then when your quads have said, oh, that's enough, just stay. Yeah. Crampage. Yeah, good. And everyone stay for a moment. Bring your hands on your block. And watch me. So we're going to lift one more time, but this time can I add a camel pose at the top? So we're going to just do one hand at a time. So I'm going to press into my feet, press into my left hand, lift, swing my right hand up, maybe open my heart a little bit, and then lower down and switch. Are you ready? So keep your right hand grounded. Use the hand to help you lift your heart, swing the left arm up and lower. Anybody feeling it in their quads yet? Ooh, mine are burning. And switch. And one more time each side. And lower. Good. Walk your blocks back till you're on all fours with the blocks. Curl the toes under. Lift to downward facing dog. So keep your hands on the blocks if you want. Extend the right leg and step it through the deep lunge position. Lower the back knee. And just bring the hands on the front side, stretching the hip flexor of the left hip flexor out a little bit. Couple breaths. And then touch down, lift the back knee again. And you might want the blocks on the higher height, I don't know. I'm gonna ask you to come to pyramid pose. So keep the hips square, move the hips up and back, straighten the right leg. Pyramid pose. And then you can just check, do I have weight in the ball of my right foot as well as the heel? Can I keep the right hip crease back? And then maybe fold a little deeper. Good, and then listen carefully. Bend back into the front knee. Move the left hand a little wider and out to and a little forward. Bring your right hand to your right thigh. And then just keeping everything square with your hips, twist to your right. And then extend the arm. And then see, can you keep everything engaged but straighten the right leg? Voila, you're in twisted triangle. Nice, you guys. Yeah, with that little bit more room, it feels doable. Right hip crease stays back, spine nice and long. Good, bend back into the front knee. And bring the hands to the blocks. Step back, downward dog. Let's do that with the left side. So extend the left leg, step it through. Deep lunge. Lower the back knee. Hug to the midline, hands to the front thigh. Little hip flexor stretch. Keep the left hip crease engaged and back. Good. Touch down, lift the back knee. Use the blocks at whatever height works best for you so that you can move the hips straight back and straighten the left leg. Feel the weight in the ball of the left foot as well as the heel. Try not to let your hips kind of get all wanky. Keep them square. Draw your low belly up. Maybe fold a little deeper, your choice. And then please bend into the front knee. Move the right hand off a little wider and a little forward. Left hand to the left thigh. Keep that left hip crease back. Twist. And then straighten the leg. And then you decide if it feels like you want to extend the arm. I like to think low belly draws up. Sits bones stay back. Open the heart a little bit. Twisted triangle. Good, bend into the front knee. Touch down. Keep your blocks off to the side and step back, down dog. And either take a child's pose or do a vinyasa with me if you want. Your choice. So inhale to plank. Exhale to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale down. And everyone push back to child's pose. Get off your hands for a moment. Stack them under your forehead. Take a few breaths. And then come on up to your knees and grab one block. So if you, yeah. I think this feels kind of good. I'm going to do it from the side so you can see. And just bring your elbows 90 degrees straight out from your shoulders, block between your hands, and just hug the block with your hands. And just notice, can you broaden the clavicles but keep the rib cage back and feel really strong there? And then see if you can straighten the arms. Notice how your core has to stay engaged for you to be able to do this. Good, now twist to your right. Keep both knees grounded and bend the elbows again. Try not to let the elbows splay out too much. Good, stretch your arms up. Come back through center, twist to the left, and bend the elbows. I want you to feel really strong on both sides of the shoulders. Good, come back to center. And bend the elbows right in the middle. Feel how strong you are. And then release the block. Good. So remember that little exercise as we do the next thing. So I'm going to have you try Bakasana, which is hand balance. Jeanette was doing. So I like to use a blanket just because then I know that if I try too hard and I do a face plant, at least it will be softer. So the hands are going to be flat. Here, just watch me first. So I come to Uttanasana, and then I turn my toes out slightly to come to a deep squat. And notice how I lift my heels high. And then I place my hands where I want them, which is right under my shoulders. And then I just kind of look, okay, can I hug my knees? I'm going to lift my bum as high as I feel stable. So my center of gravity is kind of right in the middle. And then I'm just going to lean forward to shift my weight to my hands and maybe lift one foot and then maybe the other. And then I'm gonna hug my heels towards my bum. And I'm really using my core. Okay, so your turn. Yeah, and if you don't get your feet up, it's no big deal. What is the big deal is I want you to really feel your core rounding. So come to a forward fold first. Yep, and come back from your blanket a little bit more. There you go. Good. Now bend your knees to the outside. You might have to turn your toes out a little bit and lift your heels. Yeah, there you go. Now lift your bum. Nice, Christine. Good job, student. You can play with footed. Hug your knees into your arms so much that your core engages. Good, Connie. Yeah, good job. I can't see you at home, but I know you're doing good. Yeah, there's that face plant. It saved you. Good. Yeah, it's intense on the wrist. And just come to seated for a minute. To get out of that, you can just squeeze right about around your wrist. And the more you squeeze, the better. And then you can move it in a circle. You can open and close. It feels kind of nice. And switch. I do this all the time because I have that funky wrist. So all that work is really just about core. I know. I'm so proud of you. So come on down to a seated position and take a wide Upavista. You guys can turn inward if you want, because then your feet will be on the mat. You at home, you decide. Because it's nice to have that non-slip. Bring your hands behind you and just press your heels down and towards each other. Your knees might lift up a little bit, actually. You'll feel it in your sits bones. Draw your low belly up. Good. And then see about bringing the hands to the inside. Kneecaps and toes point up. Yeah, and then you decide from there if you want to go deeper, you can. Let's see where it takes you. Upavista, Konasana. And then come on back up. Bring the hands behind you again. Bend your knees, bring the soles of the feet together. And I always have to kind of think, okay, I like to get the sits bones underneath me. So I might even lift up and think, rotate the pelvis back so you can be on the sits bones. And then use your core strength to widen the knees. And then if you want more, bring the hands either under the heels or under the ankles. But again, just kind of check in. Think really strong core allows me to widen the knees. And I'm lengthening the spine a lot. And then maybe I can fold over the feet. That nice engaged core. Good, and come on back up. Close the knees. I know you think you're down and that's it, but we have one more pose to do, so come on up. Grab your blocks and just set them about 12 inches in front of your feet, but kind of wider than your feet. Good. And then we're just going to flow into this pose. We're going to do warrior 3, but you're going to be able to ground through the blocks. So inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Pranam. And fold. And step your right foot back to a deep lunge. Lift the heel nice and high and just check your alignment. Are my hips square? And then take a baby step forward with that back foot so you can put your hands on the blocks and think, I might not get my left leg all the way straight, or maybe even my right leg, but I'm going to lift the right leg just like I've been doing, working the hamstring and lengthen my spine. And you might have to move the blocks forward and back. I decided to go higher height with mine because I want to really be able to push into them and feel my core working and long. And then keeping the right hand on the block, extend the left arm back by your hip. Keep thinking square and long, low belly up. Ooh, warrior 3. Maybe extend the arm by your ear. See if you still have weight in your heel. If you want to go for both hands, you can. I can't do it because I've been teaching this too much. Good. And then touch the back foot down and step forward. Take a moment. My leg was shaking. I don't know if any of yours were. Step the left foot back, deep lunge. Get everything aligned with the way you like it. Step the back foot forward a little bit so you can get your hands grounded. Like I said, you might have to move the blocks forward and back to keep the weight right in the middle of your right foot. So just notice, do I have weight more in my heel or in my ball, my foot? Can I shift? And then think core. Put the right hip in. I'm just talking to myself. Keep everything aligned. Maybe the right hand just back by the hip. And then think rib cage back. Maybe extend the arm. Ground it down, warrior 3. And touch down. Step back. And just for good measure, let's step back to downward dog. And do one more vinyasa. You can do it. Inhale to plank. Lower to your knees or lower down. Cobra. Or maybe even up dog if you're really feeling it. Downward facing dog. And lower to your knees. And come on down to your back. Oh, that feels good, right? I'm gonna turn the overhead light off. Oh, she's catching. Yay. Back. Just bend your knees, feet underneath. And I'll give you a choice here. You can do supported Setu Bandha or regular Setu Bandha. I think it might feel good. So, or bridge pose. Feel all parts of your feet connected. Press into your feet, lift your hips. Remember all the work you've been doing, hamstrings, quads. Allow the legs to help you. And lift your heart. I like to hug my heels in. Maybe even interlace the hands underneath. You're using a block. let yourself fall into it. Good, and release down. Bring your arms to T position or cactus. Bring your feet a little wider. And just do some windshield wipers. You can do both knees down variation or one knee at a time down variation. You get to decide what you're needing this morning. You can go fast, you can go slow. Good, and then bringing both knees up. Hug the knees in. One more time, think long spine. So get the spine nice and long first. And then bring knees to nose round the back. Maybe even lift the bum as well as the head and shoulders. And then release and stretch out for Shavasana. Now the curve comes back, but notice how long your spine feels, sides of your body, arms, feel your nice long neck. And allow the floor to support you completely. So since it's springtime, imagine growing roots out of your bones, sending them deep into the earth. Springtime is a time for growth. So every exhale, just feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more planted, hopefully relaxed. Allow your jaw, your ears to relax. Hopefully your back can relax. I'm going to share with you. This is a reading from Don Miguel Ruiz's son, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. And he kind of just, it's almost like a daily reader, but kind of goes over some of the principles from the 4 agreements. And he says, I'm here to share my love, and it gives me a lot of joy to do so. That's what I'm doing right here, sharing my love with all of you. That is my truth. In order to share my love, I use knowledge to communicate, to make you know that there is a way of life based on love. I love to love. What makes me happy is the love coming out of me. Do you understand that? You could have 10 people who love you, or 100 people who love you, or 1,000 people who love you, and their love will not make you happy. What's really going to make you happy is the love that comes out of you. That's what matters. Feeling your breath move in and out. Feel the air on your skin, becoming more aware of your environment. Start dissolving the roots by making small movements, your fingers and toes, wrists, ankles, head. And then eventually drawing your knees in, you can start to transition on up to seated. Crack, crack, crack. Allow yourself a few more moments. Sit quietly. Please bring hands to heart center. And bow to that light that shines brightly in each of you. Appreciate you being here. Namaste. Please, please, please be safe today. I know. Are they? I haven't listened this morning. Yeah, I did hear that because Connor will too. Have a great day, you guys. Be safe. Thank you.